Well, good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air, and I just love it. Thank you so much, Eric. And I want to bring we're going to get right to it today. I want to bring I want to bring my guests on, Mr. Eddie Rye and Mr. Attorney Jesse Weinberg. But 1 minute, I want need to give a big shout out to Big O. He's on the continent. He just landed in Dar es Salaam about an hour and a half ago. That's my son, Big O. He calls himself the global citizen, the Converge Media guy. So I told him I'd give a shout out to him on here today. So he just landed to the place he loves is Dar es Salaam. So hey, welcome you all. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I was just talking with some folks today about him Converge covering something, but I know he has it put together.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Jesse Weinberg has a whole bunch to say. I'll chime in after because, as you know, reparations has been stalled. There were over 1,000 delegates on June 23rd, 2024 at the Washington State Democratic Convention, and they were not all African Americans. 1,000 throughout the state, 1,092 voted for a resolution to have Governor Jay Inslee signed an executive order to establish a commission to study reparations. And then Jesse Weinberg has all the details because his fingerprints is on the executive order. There was nothing to work on. All I do was sign it. But anyway, according to a letter went to the chair of the Commission on African American Affairs, Reverend Walter Kendricks, it said that the members of the Legislative Black Caucus wanted to take the lead. And so, but it's up to the governor to sign it. This is the first time I ever heard about the Legislative Black Caucus dictating to the governor. So anyway, Jesse Weinberg.
No, I think you said it all. Good to be with you, Reverend Walden. Good to be with you again. And thank you for inviting me. We have a lot to celebrate and a lot of work to do. Number one, reparations has never been as large an issue, as much a discussed issue in Washington State in our 100+ year history as it has been in 2024. When it reaches a governor's desk, even though the governor's letter from his staff said he didn't have enough time to build consensus like they like to do when the governor's name is going to be the only name on a new law. The bottom line is this is a law affecting roughly, according to the census at least, roughly 400,000 African Americans in Washington State. 400,000 African Americans in Washington State. Dr. William Darity has done a well-funded, thorough study that took 5 years to calculate what African Americans would receive if there were a reparations legislation that would be passed on the federal level. And he found out three things. Number one, that the amount of money it would take over time would be between $13 to $14 trillion. Number two, he found that of the 40 million African Americans who he estimates can prove their lineage, in other words, that they are a descendant of someone who was a victim of U.S. chattel slavery and gave labor and died without any compensation, that those individuals would be entitled to $350,000 per person, not $350,000 a household or a family per person. And that means that we have to be in a real hurry to make sure that we're ready when those dollars flow. A lot of people don't know this, but roughly 400,000 Black folks die in America every single year. Every single year, an estimated this is according to the Centers for Disease Control, 400,000 of us die every single year. If you times that, times $350,000, every time one of us goes either into the ground through a burial or through a crematory, that's $170 billion. $170 billion just Black dollars that we lose. And so when we were saying originally to the legislature through Representative Chapalo Street, who is my representative, that we wanted this on this last 2024 legislative session, we gave that information. We said we have to move this quickly to put our 400,000 people in Washington state in a place of readiness to be able to receive the dollars that their ancestors lived and died for them to have. And he recommended, I think rightfully so, that it might be move quicker if it goes to Governor Inslee, who not only was governor, but he wasn't running anymore. And so he could do this on his way out. Well, now we know that after a year of working with the governor's office, as Eddie said, working statewide to get statewide support from the blue state Democratic Party, working statewide to get a unanimous vote from the Commission on African American Affairs, working to get a unanimous 3-state vote, Washington, Oregon, and Alaska from the NAACP State Area Conference, that now Governor Inslee is saying he doesn't have time to do it with only 3 months left in office. And so we're now going back to the person that we started with, Representative Chapalo Street. A lot of people don't know him like I do, because he represents us. I assume that, maybe the two of you or one of the two of you are still living in the 37th district.
I am.
But Chapalo is the majority caucus vice chair of the entire legislature.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Chapalo is the vice chair of the finance committee over all the money. And so I hope that you will have him on at some point, because he should be taking the lead, as we tried to give it to him over a year ago, to move this across the finish line. I'm sorry.
Attorney Jesse Weinberg.
That will inform you and others about the stakes that are so high for us at this time.
Right. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that that this is stalling. I mean, we get here and then they pull the rug out. But he's a new representative. He's not as seasoned as some of the rest of them. So I hope that he can continue to work on this, and and maybe people should call his office or reach out to him and see what he needs to be able to help to push it forward.
Right. And I encourage everybody who's within the sound of our voices, who has a member of the Legislative Black Caucus representing them, they need to put this issue in front of them in the remaining days between now and November 5th. Ask them, if we reelect you, are you going to vote yes for a study on reparations for African Americans? Simple as that. If you're pausing and hemming and hawing, then you know how you should be pausing and hemming and hawing when you're going over your ballot.
What? Hello?
What did you say, Jesse? I mean, any way you say?
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, over 1,000 delegates that represent the Democratic Party voted unanimously for the governor to do this. Governor Jay Inslee needs to do it. Okay, that's all. He just needs to do it. I mean, you don't have how much support do Black folks have to get something done? And that's what we really have to look at it. Any other issue, any other group of people that would have had a unanimous vote at the Democratic Convention, the State Democratic Convention, a unanimous vote, then you go to the Commission on African American Affairs, a unanimous vote, and yet, and I don't know who the Legislative Black Caucus members are. I know one in particular that voted against affirmative action bill. And then, there's some people that's been getting a whole bunch of money 4 years ago as a Latina running for Congress. And then just recently, I'm Black and white. So I'm just saying, we really have to watch who we have leading our efforts.
That's right.
Because everybody don't have our interests at heart.
That's right. That's right. And that's so true. I mean, I want to alert people that there's a video out there called The Black Code to give a historical record how we got here, all the way back to Virginia, all the way back to England. And I'm sending it out to people because we need to understand what we're up against. People who was considered 3/5 of a person in the Constitution. I mean, we're still up against that. And I think that we have to continue to understand that piece of history. And then the person who's coming along right now, who wants to come along, has made that worse, because the people all over the country wants to go back someplace else. So And we need courageous people like the Mennonites and the Quakers was doing the Underground Railroad. So, I mean, people talk about being, you don't want to be an abolitionist. Well, that means that means you have to be courageous. And that also means for African Americans to be courageous. That's really the truth right now. We need courageous people because their ancestors was courageous. I mean, this is for our ancestors, the people who suffered and never got to die.
Right. Just what should the people be doing to make this company? Would you think if everybody called the governor's office let's say, remind him that over 1,000 delegates voted for this, the commission, his advisory group for African Americans, Commission on African American Affairs voted unanimously. Governor Inslee, you need to do this.
Well, I have a pivot mindset, and I'm a former athlete, so when you move down the field, and you're going for a touchdown, and you only get a field goal, well, you don't stay, in the end zone. You get back, and now you kick the ball off, and start all over again. So we went down with nothing. Nobody knew about reparations, or even that there could be a study. The Democrats didn't know. This was according to Reverend Kendrick, chair of the Commission on African American Affairs. This was the first time, believe it or not, in 32 years that they had actually voted to direct the governor to do anything. And so we now have people in power who are informed. Now we just need to get our community engaged and start a process that I call reparations readiness. And that is assume the victory. And I'm sorry?
In the letter to Reverend
Kendrick, we got less than a minute now, so
on Commission on African American Affairs stated emphatically the reason why Governor Inslee was not signing the proclamation was because of the legislative Black Caucus members wanted to lead the issue. And if you're not for affirmative action, how can you be for reparations? Go right ahead, Jesse.
All right. No. Well, hey, Jesse, we gotta have to cut it short. So you make your one statement, and then we'll have to have you back on again.
No, I just say get informed, get ready, and get engaged with your legislators, especially those of you out there who live in districts that are represented by Black legislators, and tell them between now and November 5th, they need to tell you whether they are for studying reparations or not, and you will take that into account when you vote for them on November 5th.
All right. Thank you so much. Hey, we'll have you back on again. This is an important issue. And I want to thank you for coming on, and we'll talk real soon. All right.
Thank you, Reverend Walden.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Ray Harry. Appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. We'll be right back.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Oh, yes. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. And we have to always wake up with our minds set on freedom. The people who were stolen, we have to always wake up with that on our mind. And I have my next guest here, but before I want to bring my next guest on, I just want to remind people of Mother's Justice Breakfast coming up really soon here. It's going to be at the Esquire Club by Mother's Justice Breakfast, November 7th, down on Rainier Avenue. So make sure you register, make sure you get your ticket. And there's many ways you can do that. You can be online, and you can be present there. I hope you're there. All right. Thank you for that. And I'll talk more about that at the end. I want to bring my next guest on. Her name is Miss Lenora Johnson, and she has some good information about financial planning and the workshop or the workshop presentation that they had on the 19th. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's so great to see you.
Yes.
It's so great to be here, today on KKNW. Really appreciate the Mother's Justice Show. You've got some great history behind you and freedom, right? I love that introductory song,
yes.
And about freedom. And for us, it's about financial freedom.
Yes, it is.
Able to bring to the community financial instructions about how to achieve financial freedom. And we know that that is something that's really important in the lives of everyone.
Yes, it is.
It's like there's I refer to often, and that is that money answereth all things. Not that we are lovers of money or really, trying to build and amass just a pile of money, but we do need it, just for the everyday existence, for our living expenses, residence living, housing, transportation, food, just everything. There's always an exchange, and money is what our culture uses to obtain those different items.
Well, now you're right about that, because I always tell people who might have negative things to say about money, well, it buys Pampers, it buys medicine, it buys books, it buys a Greyhound ticket if you can't get an airplane ticket. Oh, it does so much, and I'm glad that this is going on, because I know Minister Davis didn't get on here yet. One of the things she's often talked about is for the faith base, because I remember when I was talking to people, on one lady told me, well, she's gonna get raptured out. I said, well, you got to live before you get raptured. So this is really a good idea to introduce this into the churches, and that type of thing.
Well, thank you so much. And we did have a great event on Saturday, October 19th, at the New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. They provided the facility for us to gather the community together to educate on financial principles. We did have at the top of our event, Elder Devin Stubblefield, who is a finance coach nationwide, very well known in the Seattle community, who is just helping people understand what money is all about. And so he led off the event. But the reason that we had a faith-based financial presentation, because we believe that it's really important. It helps to align our alignment with our values. Many people want their financial decisions to reflect their personal beliefs and values.
Right.
Faith-based approach helps align financial practices with spiritual practices.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll agree to that. I mean, I really do, because one of the miracles of the master teacher, Christ Jesus, is that he got the coin out of the fish's mouth.
Right. Right. God will provide.
And God will provide. I mean, and then the miracle of turning water to wine.
Right. Like,
so
who would have thought?
Who would have thought that you could turn water to wine?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the guest says you always save. I guess they served that first, and I guess one of the people, one of the persons there said, "Well, you always save that for last, because the other people might have already drinking, have already had too much to drink, and so you get the best wine last, but you served it first." So, anyways, all kinds of examples. There's a book called "The Millionaires of in the Bible," and written by Catherine Ponder, and she talks about, going through the Bible, where you find all these people who was prosperous, and was uplifting people in those days. And so it only stands to reason that we should be prosperous now, and prosper in all we do,
Exactly. And that's what we were designed. We were created to be prosperous.
I believe so.
Always, not just in our finances, but in every aspect of our lives. Love is really key to us living this life, and being successful in this life. And when we can love others, it always takes some to get what we need. And so that, we want to do ethical investing, however. So faith-based finance often promotes ethical investing, encouraging individuals to support businesses and projects that align with their moral and religious beliefs. And isn't it true that in our community, that when we have the support of our community, that our businesses flourish?
That's right.
Not only once the community's businesses flourish, then everybody is lifted.
That's right.
The entire community is lifted up. I have one of my nieces, and I have 78.
Yeah, I'm coming.
There's three generations. but she had a one-woman show in Southern California.
We talking about Naila.
Naila, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Sabria's daughter.
Rising
Yes, yes,
tides,
yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's all about rising tides lifting all boats.
That's right.
When we work together, then we're able to lift each other up, and there's enough for everyone. Some people have a scarcity mentality.
That's been taught to us to have a scarcity mentality.
Right. Isn't that the truth? We can turn that around.
That's right. And that's what you're doing. See, that's the work you're doing.
Right. And so we believe that the education is really key. It's like you can't do better if you don't know better.
Now, that's true. That's really true. Yes, yes. Well, I just really is excited about this. I couldn't come on Saturday because I already had a previous commitment, but I supported it, and I still support it because I sit in a lot of different groups with people, and one of the things that that people always talk about is talking bad about money. And then I say, oh, okay, well then you talk bad about it, and then you wonder why you don't have it. You wonder why you don't have any. You got to, have to understand that it has a spirit, and you keep talking about it. After a while, the universe says you don't want it, so you don't like it, and so it kind of dries up. And so, just getting people to talk positive about it and understand that is a tool. Money is a tool.
It is. And that's exactly, it is a tool, and that's all that it is.
That's all it is.
You can't eat it, you can't drive it. You can't sleep with it. It's just a tool. It's just a means to an end, right?
That's right. That's what it is. It's a tool.
Right. And then one of the other principles that we highlighted was stewardship, that many of the faith traditions emphasize stewardship. So the responsibly managing resources. And our financial presentation provides guidance on how to manage money wisely in a way that honors these principles. And then we also look at a holistic approach. It's not just a one-way street. It's a global, it's a 360 view, and a faith-based perspective often considers the whole person, integrating financial health with emotional, spiritual, and social well-being. So we're just really excited about having had the opportunity to present to the Seattle community, what it is that we do and how everyone can do it. It's right. Like what the wealthy have been doing to create and retain dollars for centuries.
Centuries, it's correct.
Right, those principles are available to us, and that is what we're doing. And our education is fully intended to educate those who don't know those principles, to be able to exercise them and to increase the quantity and value of their lives, and it's one of the areas that Angela is so responsive to, and that is to the gun violence, to trauma that is perpetrated in our community.
That's right.
One of her hallmark statements is, I want to replace GoFundMe, not to just, what do you call it? We're not trying to eliminate a business. That's not what we're about. We're trying to offer options, and how we can do that, because our community, above so many, have so much violence perpetrated against us.
Right.
That, you have a teenager, just recently, I heard about Amir, who was at Garfield and trying to stop a fight, right, or an altercation, and he ended up losing his life in the process. And of course, his parents didn't think when he left that day that was going to be the outcome. But I see that, and we have an answer for that. We have an answer to that, how we can help the families to manage a great homegoing. It's like to honor the lives of those that are taken. And yeah.
I see Angela. I see Minister Davis is. We only got a few more minutes now because but yes. Hi, Ms. Davis. You want to come on? Minister Davis? You want to unmute yourself?
Hello.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good to see you. Miss Johnson is on, and she was telling me all about it, and we only got a few more minutes now, but so this is really cool. Good to see you, and you want to just hop right in and talk a little bit about, about the faith-based financial planning empowerment.
Sure. Well, we talk about faith, and a lot of the faith houses talk about tithing, but how do we look at all of the other things that are very significant, such as children and their needs and their wants and all of those things? And how do we educate them properly in order to be able to recognize what is a want, what is a need, and how do we strategize so that those things can be possible for prosperity? And with that being said, faith without works is dead. So if we don't have faith, then we will not seek the wisdom of our faith to look at what we're supposed to implement. And so it's very similar to saying, oh, Lord, bless me with a job, but we're not doing anything to equip ourselves. So when we're talking about faith-based financial empowerment, we're also talking about what is it that we need to do that meets our needs and is in alignment with integrity, is in alignment with prosperity, wisdom, and honesty. And money is a tool, not a toy.
Well, yeah, that's a good one. Money is a tool, not a toy. Now, some people are up there, that's way up there, that's way, way, way up there. For them, it's a toy. But for the people, just I reaching out to learn more, because the more we learn, the more we grow. And that's what's wonderful about this. And I know Mrs. Johnson was talking about people working together, and I had the good fortune in some ways of being raised in segregation. And Goldsboro was one of the first all townships in America, all Black townships, and we had a thriving business. A lot of places had a thriving business during segregation, so we have that in our history. We just might not have it in we might be trying to recreate it, but we have it in our history on how we work together, the Black Wall Street and all these other places. So it's been demonstrated that we can do this. I mean, we can become financially free. And just keep working at it, and that's what you do. I mean, I was just want to acknowledge you, Minister Davis, that you're always working on being a better person or being expanded, and I really appreciate your flexibility. And we talked the other day about being nimble. That's an old word. Oh, yeah. And I just have seen you. You're just so wonderful. I haven't seen Miss Johnson in a long time. True transparency. Her sister, who passed in the spirit 2005, was a great friend of mine, and she helped start Mothers Against Police Harassment many years ago, 34 years ago. She did all of the computer work, because in those days you could go to University of Washington and use the computer lab free. And so she was so resourceful. She would go out there and people thought we had a lot of people with us because our stuff looked good. When you have a good presentation, and we might only had 5 women, but everybody thought we would, I mean, yeah, she knew what to do. And she was with us for a long time, and always will be my forever road dog. So I always like to let people know, true transparency, that she was a great love of mine, and she passed by 2 weeks after my Hiram did, and his passing. His birthday is Wednesday, but always great love for Sabria. I want you to know that, and those kids, Naila and all of them. So yeah, so. Anyway, she was a lover, and she's still a lover because her work goes on. Naila is, look at her children, her children, they're all poetic. They can all they got the gifts of the mother and the father. I didn't know the father. I didn't know Rakib that much, but I knew her, and I just, I'm grateful. My life is richer because of my Sabria.
I
and
also
she gave
want
to the
to
community, and yeah,
say,
she was a poet and lots of other things in the community. So I want to thank you for coming on too, and just being yourself, and
yeah,
that's what it's all about. We can't be nobody else. We can only be ourselves. So anyway, I
right.
want to thank you all for coming on, and Minister Angela, you have something else you want to say? You're welcome. Go ahead and
I
do that.
wanted to say that, we were talking about faith-based financial empowerment and all of those things, and you were talking about Sabria and her children and how it's returning full circle because if it wasn't for Leora, um, none of us in her family would have had the opportunity to delve into this process.
Right.
One way or another, they are also applying some of those principles of financial empowerment,
Right.
all because of the passion that started from Leora embarking on this process. And
Wow.
so, as you continue to talk about Sabria, I've thought about all of the amazing ways that generational wealth is being either created or produced. And because of Leora's love and being the auntie of many
70
children,
plus is what she said.
yes,
That she got a village going on, a real
yes,
village.
knowledge, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, you
Mhm.
guys got a few more minutes, seconds or minutes here because my other guest from Florida did not log in yet. She was coming from Tampa, Florida to give us an update about what's going on in Florida. So we know
Mhm.
that wherever it is going on, sometimes our people are just suffering, and so she was going to come on and talk about that. But I'm
Mhm.
always excited. I mean, I love doing radio, and I'm too transparent. I always let my listeners know. And this, by the way, it's going to be a podcast, so all your friends who didn't catch the show can be able to get it on the podcast here either later today or tomorrow. It goes up as a podcast. So, and that's wonderful. I mean, to be able, this is technology that has improved all these years, and for us to be able to have access to it and to be able to talk about these things, we don't have to hide to talk about financial freedom. I mean, because everybody's looking for it, but there's a spiritual tool that also gives us financial freedom, and that's also having the attitude of gratitude. Brings more into our lives. The more grateful we are, the more the universe opens up for us, also. And that type of thing. So
Right, law of attraction, huh?
that's right. Yeah, yeah. And it's real
It is.
because we're attracting a lot of things already that we don't want. So to be able to talk, be able to have something to teach us about something that we do want and how to attract that, whether that's health, wealth, and and all the things that we're talking about. I mean, just and every time I think about this manifesting stuff, I often think about the sports people like Venus and Serena's, and they always saw themselves hitting the ball. They
Yeah.
always saw themselves being prosperous. Prosperous or hitting the ball or whatever you want. So you have to see yourself also, and that is that law of attraction that you're talking about. So it's awesome. It really is, and I'm just glad to know that people are doing this. I know that Mr. Mr. Stubblefield. I think I've met him before. I mean, he's my one of my sons know him also, and the work that he's doing. So that's good. It's good to be able to do this. And I'm just so happy that, again, I'm just happy that you're here because I haven't seen you in years. But also, and where'd you come from? Where are you living at now?
I live in Vallejo, California,
Okay.
and just want everybody to remember Favor Financial Services,
Yes.
because we'll be coming back to do events near you, and we've already had requests to do additional events, and so we're really excited about that. The information is invaluable. It helps people just to know, and that's our purpose, is just to educate the community on what they can do. So we have a can-do spirit. We are promoting that, and just so that because so few people have financial literacy, there it isn't taught or
No, it's
hasn't been
not.
taught in
Right.
schools. Now I understand that many states, a few states have adopted a program that it's requirement before graduating from high school to have a financial literacy course. But we're just doing it one community at a time right now. And we want to just for everybody to know what we found out. You know, my life has changed tremendously in the last 7 years. You know, I was desperate 7 years ago. I'm not desperate today.
Isn't that
You know,
wonderful?
because of doing this business, and much of my desperation came out of not being fulfilled in life.
Right,
But to be able
right.
to educate the community on these finance principles has made a marked difference in me and everybody around me. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to come on KKNW and Mother's Justice
Right,
program to
right.
share this information. But thank you so much, Reverend Walden. Appreciate you.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. But the other thing too, that goes along with keeping people in their homes
Mhm.
because Mrs. Salisbury, I got lots of sons, but Chickeny, they're involved with the Black Home Legacy, group, and they're what they're doing is educating people around literacy on how to stay in your home. How to keep your home, how to, about the taxes and all of that stuff. So all of these go hand in hand because so many people lost their homes, their family lost their homes because they didn't have all the information. And then, about a lot of the, reverse mortgages and all of this kinds of stuff. It might look good right now, but that's a consequence. And so they meet like once a month down there, at the Esquire Club. And now if you had time, I mean, if you ever, when next time you're in Seattle, you might want to see if you see any of those signs. If you see a sign with those signs out there is to let the other people who want to come in, let them know that they're here and they're not going to go away. They're going to stay in their property, and they're going to do the necessary things. And it takes this financial freedom that you're talking about to be able to stay in your homes and to be able to know how you can even maybe put put one of those mother-in-law apartments or something in the back, that they've changed the rules on that you can increase your own prosperity by doing that and not having other people to be on your property or your family. I mean, some people are putting their family on this property. So I think it all goes together. All of these things keep our community whole and safe and connected. See, so I just think, like you say, it's hand in hand. It's not both. It's not either or. It's both and. That's how I see it. And I just really want to appreciate you all from coming on here. And I got to figure out about my next guest, but we'll figure that out in a few minutes. So I want to thank you for being my guest on Mother's Justice Show, and I know I'll have you back. And Minister Angela was a regular on
Yeah.
Mother's Justice Show because she's been talking about, and then she also is a great supporter of Mothers for Police Accountability. She's a volunteer. I call her one of our stellar volunteers, and also she's helped us with the Virtues Project and the Healing Circles and all the things that we've been doing in Seattle. And I'm just grateful for her spirit and her kindness and her nimbleness.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you for being my guest on Mother's Justice Show, and thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. We're going to take a break on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. This is Harriet Mother's Justice Show. We'll be right back.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. And you know what? I woke up this morning and I said, I'm going to feel like going on. You know that song? It's like, hey, sometimes life is a feeling, and that law of attraction tells us that you got to feel it before it comes. It's a feeling. So it's like, okay, let me just feel like going on. So yeah, I know you had big service yesterday in the church and all of that yesterday, Sister Angela. I mean, Minister Angela. It's a small world because the event that I was at Saturday was one of the pastors at your church. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Her name is Cynthia, I believe. I believe that's her name. I mean, no, Christine.
Yes, Prophetess Christine. Yes.
Right. And so I mentioned your name, and she said, "Oh, I know her." And I'm saying, "Oh, it's a small world." And then I mentioned that to you, and you said, "Oh, yeah, I know her." So, life is always about a connecting. It really is about a circle. I mean, we're all together, and we can't. I mean, one of the things that I know that Dr. King talked about how we were linked together. In this field of it's a field of energy, and we're linked together. And on that other level, esoteric level, that higher level of consciousness, we're all one. But we have to peel all these layers about that we have that keep us from knowing about our oneness, and that's on this plane we don't quite get it. But if you raise as the vibrations go up higher and higher, then we're just all one, connected. And that's why some of the scriptures talked about when you harm one person, you're harming yourself because you don't know the connection. See, so and then when you prosper somebody, I mean, you're prospering yourself. So I always say that life is like a boomerang, because whatever you pull out there is going to come back. So you might as well throw good. So it's going to come back, and sometimes it come back, you throw it in the morning. It don't take 100 years. Now, some people, we think it takes 100 years if we look at in this, but now, but sometimes it come right back, so and that's and I always when I see you, I Minister Davis, I'm just I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you as well. You talk about giving and receiving and how that is a boomerang. The fact that we are all together at this appointed time is something in itself, a boomerang. Right. You like to say the law of reciprocity.
Right.
And are we actually applying that?
Right.
And then, when we think about favorite financial services, we talk about the Mother's Justice Show, we talk about Community Connections, Seattle Unlimited, Virtues. All of those things are speaking to the human condition. And the only way that any of those can truly be applied is if the spiritual is the foundation of all of those components.
Agreed.
The absence of the spiritual components leads to self-fulfilled motives.
Right.
Once those motives are done, then there's the dissipation of not being a part of it anymore.
Right.
I got what I want.
Right.
Instead of, the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. And so in order to give, how are you going to give outside of what you want for your selfish motives if you don't even seek for a spiritual foundation of everything that you do and say?
Well, I agree.
And that doesn't mean perfection, it means transformation.
Right.
And that process is not, that transformation does not come from itself. Even a plant doesn't grow by itself. It receives the sun and the rain and the wind and all of those different things, and even, my understanding of our ancestral roots and healing and understanding and how everything is beginning to unfold, the revelation of the truth that we are definitely the chosen people. I mean, scientifically documenting the things that were trying to be dismissed and discovered. It's still about a law of reciprocity. If we know who we are, we're going to walk in that, And so if we're talking about being chosen and royal and all of that, we have a accountability that should be higher than the vibration of we can't get nothing because ain't nobody giving it to us.
That's right,
Higher concept of what it is that we're doing. And that is why we are so passionate about empowering and educating the masses. It's not that we are any better than anybody. It's not that we got all the answers. But, like when we were told that we could not read, someone found a way to make sure that some of us were reading.
And you're right about that. I mean, really and truly. And, so I might as well just keep you on now to the end. So it's like we got a few more minutes here, but I'm going to pivot to talk about the breakfast and, and because all of this goes in together. We talk about reciprocity and how we can help one another. And, Mothers is 34 years old. We didn't know we'd still be around. I mean, doing this work, and as the nation wants to go backwards in so many ways, our work is needed now, more than ever. And we want to encourage people to come into our breakfast. We've been doing this a long time. This is we've been having the breakfast for a while. First, we were actually honoring doing Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was our tall giant. He said he wanted to walk the green earth as an American. I mean, he's one of our tallest trees in America history for Paul Robeson and what he did for us. And so when we retired the Paul Robeson event, then we started our breakfast, and we're honoring Thurgood Marshall. He loved us. He absolutely loved us. And he had an excellent way of setting up those cases so he could go to the Supreme Court. And if you look at the body of work and all how he made our life so much better than the Chief Justice that we have right now. Clarence Thomas is, he's want to take us back. And so we want people to understand, number one, you need to vote. And to make sure that you're voting. I vote for my ancestors who didn't vote, who did not have an opportunity to vote, and I vote for the Supreme Court, because at the end of the day, that is the arbitrary of American is the court system. So we want to encourage people to make sure the ballots have already come, and to get your ballot and talk to your neighbors and read. And if there's anything that you don't know about it, hey, make sure make sure you talk to somebody. I have people calling me up all the time, and I always, those initiatives, they're always tricky. So you have to pay real attention, because if not, and then if you can also look what's happening on the South End. If they got all those things on the South End for you to vote yes on, then probably people need to be looking at it to make sure, because some people believe that we don't read or we don't have good comprehensive. So we're encouraging people to absolutely talk to your neighbor, talk to your friend about your ballot, especially people that you trust, and come on out to Mother's Breakfast. And Minister Davis was there last for. She's been there a couple of our breakfasts, and hopefully she'll be there this time. She's gonna always help and so we appreciate our volunteers. We appreciate people, because we all volunteer. This is one of the last volunteer organizations, because who works free? Yeah, so it's still an all volunteer organization, and we're looking for new members and to help us build capacity, especially young mothers with children, because I think that we have to educate mothers about what felonies are. Once you're a felon, all your opportunity is gone. I mean, really and truly, and I don't think people understand what it is to be a felon, because if you're a felon, somebody who just became a new citizen has more rights in America than you have by virtue of your ancestors, and I think that that's really important for us to educate people. So you also want to give a word, Minister Davis, about the breakfast, because you've been for a few of them,
Oh, yes, those breakfasts is the first time and the last time that I've been there. It's been a few, but it's always a positive energy. There's such an excitement. People getting up early, smiling at each other. Imagine that. Embracing each other with jubilant joy.
At the time, it just gone back, so it's dark. It's dark.
Yes, it's really been such a positive thing, and it's a space where it doesn't matter about your economic status or your role in society. Some were, people in the community. Some people have positions of high esteem in the political judicial system and all of that, but all because of the passion of Mother Reverend Harriet Walden, they all come together for this event.
Well, thank you so much for that. We're running out of this good thing they call time here soon. So again, our Mother's Justice Breakfast is November 7th. This year, of course, at the Esquire Club at 7 a.m. And you'll know for sure if you're going forward. We know, or you're going backwards. So no matter what the occasion is, what it says, we know we got to roll up our sleeves, and we know what time it is. We absolutely know what time it is. So hey, check out our website and get all the information at Mothers, Mothers for Police Accountability .org. Been around for a long time, and you know that 34 years is a long time, and so we're grateful. We're grateful that we're here, and we hope to see you at the breakfast. Be there or be square. All right. Thank you so much. I want to thank my guests for coming on today and just hanging out with Mothers for Police, Mother's Justice Show. So thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you again real soon. We have a meeting on Wednesday night for volunteers, and I'll let you know about it. Okay. All right. Nice to see you, Ms. Johnson. I pray I'll see you again soon.
Great to see you as well.
All righty. Thank you so much. Are you listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW? I'm your host, Reverend Walden. I'll see you next week.